We brought the cameras along today to Albans Lakes in St Albans, Hertfordshire. We're here following Chris Vandervleit for a midweek open match. Now there's 20 anglers turned up for this match today, and the majority of those are local experts. The match today is on the Match Lake, which is an old gravel pit with depths up to about 20 feet. Now there are also hidden gravel bars and plateaus, so maybe locating these areas could be key to success today. Chris plans to keep things really simple. He's only set up 3 rods, a method feeder rod, a cage feeder rod and a straight lead to fish over both lines. Chris is going to fish his method feeder rod at 30 metres and his cage feeder rod at 20 metres. Now Chris is going to give the 20 metre line a big hit of ground bait. He's going to ball in, I think, about 8 or 10 balls of ground bait laced with loose offerings. This is to hold the big head of bream should they feed on that 20 metre line. Chris has told me that today's plan consists of starting on the 30 metre line with a method feeder and then dropping onto that 20 metre line over those balls of ground bait that he initially fed at the start of the match, just hoping the big bream have rocked up and having a feed there. This lake holds a good head of carp between 2 and 4 pounds, and there's bream in here between 3 and 5 pounds. Now we're into mid-October and the leaves are already starting to drop off the trees and it's fairly cold. There's certainly a chill in the air. Chris is going to have a right tussle on his hands today because he's drawn next to the venue expert Steve Tyler. So this could be an interesting one. As always, with this being an open match and the lake quite clear and the temperature in the water certainly dropping, we're going to keep well back from the water's edge. We'll catch up with Chris at the end of the match and we'll let him talk us through how it's gone today. So the scales have just gone. Chris has weighed £76 4 ounces. Unfortunately, that's first out of the money, but still a cracking performance from this peg. So Chris, how did you start the match today?
So I started at 30 metres down the method, fished a heavy method, 35 grand, small flat lead.
And what have you put through on that method today? Micros or ground bait or mixed? Or?
Micros and ground bait. I started on ground bait, I felt that they needed a bit of feed. So I added some micros. The peg got stronger the more micros I introduced.
So today, I see today that you started the match actually by balling ground bait in short, and that hasn't worked, has it?
No, unfortunately not. I've balled it at 20 metres. Normally that's a good line. Normally catch a lot of bream, small carp there. But it never produced today. So Steve Tyler next to me, who was the actual match winner with £120 plus, has fished a short line all day long with a method called 45 stockies. Unfortunately, I just couldn't catch there on that line. I've had plenty of ground bait, a few particles. I've had 2 bream and a small perch there.
It's unbelievable when you think it's only 15 or at maximum 20 yards away from you, how those fish just don't move.
Yeah, no, they don't move apparently, but they're new stock fish, pull up, and they're happy where they're living.
So that 30 metre line today, I see you've caught on, you started on, was it like a wafter or a dumbbell of some kind?
It was the mainline match 8mm wafter.
That's what
tuna.
You started on, yep.
Yeah, the pink one.
And that worked. Your start to the match, to be fair, was quite a good one.
Yeah, it was quite a good start. I was quite pleased with it. I was actually beating Steve at one time, but the peg finally died, started fizzing. And the last 2 hours was a real struggle.
And that's frustrating because that last 2 hours you're expecting to catch on that shorter line and it's just not kicked off, has it?
No, it's not kicked off at all. Not kicked off.
You've managed to snare an odd fish in them last 2 hours on, I see you had a bunch of maggots on the method?
Yeah, I changed from a wafter to a bunch of dead reds. It produced bites straight away. I had to wait for them. I was getting indications and liners for the last 2 hours, but I just couldn't catch them. I had a little chat with Steve after the match and he said I was fishing in the silt. Steve's a regular, it's always hard to beat here. He said that the carp get their heads in the silt and start blowing, and it makes it very difficult to catch them. Lesson learned.
Well, we've seen the silt, we've seen the bubbles coming up today, especially on that 30 metre line. Do you reckon the weather, I mean you can't believe it's late October now, Most of the leaves have dropped off the trees, and it is, well, we could be in a t-shirt to be fair.
Lovely day for fishing.
It's been cracking, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Water is quite cold though.
Yeah, it's quite cold. We've had a lot of rain yesterday. It didn't stop raining in this area all day.
And do you reckon that has just balled the fish up a little bit?
Possibly. Everyone's caught on the lake though, apart from in the shallow pegs up the top end.
Yeah.
In the 20s, it's fish very difficult out there. But this area there's been some 50s. I've actually got beat by 1 pound. I've lost 5 or 6 fish today, unfortunately, but that's fishing.
That is fishing. So what was you chucking on that 30 metre line? You were using an 11-foot rod, was it?
The 11-foot Acolyte Plus, lovely rod, perfect for that job.
And that's what you were chucking on the 30 metre. Same rod on the 20 metre or shorter wise?
The 10-foot Ultra. Love the 10-foot Ultra. I was targeting bream actually on the short line, and I could fish a light hook length, and the giving the rod would have helped me get the carp in if I hooked any carp. Unfortunately, there wasn't any carp.
That short line, you were expecting to fish a cage feeder or a method feeder on it?
Both. I dropped the method on it and actually caught 2 bream, so I swapped to a cage feeder with a worm on, caught a tiny perch about an ounce, no other indications. Kept having a look last 2 hours, no bites unfortunately.
So noticeably today as well, Chris, you on that cage feeder you dropped down to a slightly lighter hook length and a smaller hook, and it's not made any difference at all.
No difference at all. I changed down to an 012 and an 18, tried a bunch of maggots, small dendrobina, just produced one little small perch. If there's no fish there, there's no fish. You know when there's fish there, you get plenty of liners, plenty of indications. Like I've all day on the 30 metre line. I've had indications all day long, but they've been very difficult to catch. Tried scaling down on the method, didn't really make a difference. They're tough little fish, you know, they fight hard, and it's easy to break, especially there's a gravel bottom, there's a big shelf in front of me, so you have to pull on them a little bit to get them over the shelf.
Yeah, I see you've had that rod fully arched over today on a couple of those.
Yeah, I've played the fish with a rod in the air a lot, just to get them over that shelf, just to get them up quick.
It's been a day of patience, really, hasn't it? It's been setting a trap and actually waiting. I know the start was good, but it's just sort of I suppose it's gradually deteriorated as your match has gone on.
Yeah, definitely. The more they've blown, the more bubbles, the less fish there was to catch. As Steve said, they're in the silt. They're rooting around in the silt. So there is a lesson learned. Next time, might be a different story.
Brilliant. Well, hopefully we'll bring the cameras along and we'll capture that as well, Chris.
Hey, you're more than welcome.
Well done today. It's been really enjoyable, mate.
I've enjoyed your company. Thank you very much.
No problem at all, mate. Thank you.
Cheers.